People usually don't believe stories like this. I didn't either, until I lived there. In October 2016, I moved into an old apartment building in Cleveland, Ohio. It wasn't cheap, but it was quiet, clean, and close to my workplace. The building was called Harrington Heights, a 6-story structure built sometime in the 1950s. Nothing about it looked haunted. No broken windows, no strange smells, no warnings. The landlord, a thin man named Mr. Keller, handed me the keys and said something odd before leaving. If the elevator stops where it shouldn't, don't get out. I laughed, thinking it was a bad joke. He didn't laugh back. My apartment was on the 4th floor, Unit 4B. The first week passed normally. No sounds, no shadows, no nightmares. I started believing the place was just old, nothing more. Then, one night around 1:17 a.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, heavy, like someone dragging their feet. I checked the peephole. No one was there. A minute later, the footsteps returned, closer this time. They stopped right in front of my door. I held my breath, waiting for a knock. Instead, I heard whispering, not words, breathing, layered breathing, as if more than one person was standing outside. Suddenly, the elevator bell rang, once, twice, 3 times. No one uses the elevator that late. The next morning, I asked my neighbor across the hall, Emily, if she heard anything strange last night. Her face turned pale. She asked quietly, "Did the elevator stop on floor 5?" I told her she didn't know there was a 5th floor. She stared at me and said something that still makes my hands shake. This building officially has 6 floors, but no one lives on the 5th, and if the elevator opens there, something comes back down with you. That night, the elevator stopped by itself, and the doors began to open.
Part 2. The floor that shouldn't exist. The elevator doors opened slowly, whining like metal under pain. I didn't touch any button. My finger wasn't even near the panel. The digital screen above the doors flickered, then settled on a number I had never seen before. 5. The hallway outside didn't look abandoned. That was the worst part. The lights were on, dim, yellow, old, but working. The carpet was clean, newer than the rest of the building. The walls were painted a soft beige, not cracked or peeling like the other floors. It looked lived in. The doors stayed open longer than usual. I didn't step out. Something told me if I crossed that line, I wouldn't come back the same. Just before the doors closed, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. There were doors lining the hallway, just like every other floor. Each one had a number: 5A, 5B, 5C, and at the very end of the hall, 5B had my name written on it, not typed, not printed, scratched into the wood. The doors slammed shut. The elevator dropped hard like it had been released. When it stopped, the screen read 4, as if nothing had happened. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I went straight to the leasing office. Mr. Keller wasn't there. The woman behind the desk told me he'd taken a long leave months ago. I asked her about the 5th floor. Her smile vanished. She leaned forward and lowered her voice. She said, "There is no 5th floor." I told her what I saw, the hallway, the doors, my name. She leaned forward and lowered her voice. Every few years, someone sees it, and when they do, the building starts preparing a place for them. That evening, I found something under my apartment door. A welcome mat, worn, dusty. Stitched into the fabric were 3 words: "Welcome home, 5B." That night, the footsteps returned. This time, they were inside my apartment, and something was breathing behind my bedroom door.
I didn't open the bedroom door. I stood frozen in the living room, gripping my phone, listening to the slow, uneven breathing on the other side. Each breath sounded wet, like air passing through damaged lungs. The smell came next, old dust mixed with something rotten. Then the breathing stopped. Silence is never comforting when it arrives too suddenly. I waited for a sound, any sound. Nothing. When I finally opened the bedroom door, the room was empty. No footprints, no marks, just one thing that hadn't been there before. My bedroom wall, right above the headboard, had writing on it. Not paint, not marker. It was scratched deep into the plaster. "You're late." I left the apartment that night and didn't come back until morning. I slept in my car, parked under a streetlight, jumping at every shadow that moved across the windshield. The next day, I went to the city records office. If this was a joke, I needed proof. After an hour of searching, a clerk found something strange. She called me over, her brow tight with confusion. There was a tenant record from 1998. Apartment 5B, tenant name Daniel Harper. My name. Same spelling, same middle initial. I told her that was impossible. I was born in 1993. She scrolled further down and quietly said, "According to this, he died here. Cause of death, unspecified. Body recovered, no." Attached to the file was a grainy black and white photo. It showed a man standing in a hallway, the 5th floor hallway. He looked thin, hollow-eyed, terrified. Behind him, reflected in the apartment door, were faces pressed from the inside, dozens of them, twisted, watching. I couldn't breathe, because the man in the photo wasn't just similar to me, it was me. Older, broken, and smiling like he knew something I didn't. That night, my apartment door unlocked by itself, and a voice whispered from the hallway, "Daniel, you finally remembered." The hallway light outside my apartment flickered, then steadied. I didn't step out, but the voice knew I was listening. "Daniel," it whispered again, softer this time, closer. "You've been gone too long." I slammed the door shut and locked it, then shoved a chair under the handle like that would stop anything that didn't follow normal rules. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my phone twice before managing to call Emily. She answered immediately. "You saw yourself, didn't you?" she said before I could speak. I asked her how she knew. "Because that's how it starts. The building shows you who you were the last time." She finally told me the truth. Harrington Heights wasn't haunted in the way people think.
No random ghosts, no curses from the outside. The building collects people. Every few years it chooses someone who fits, someone lonely, unnoticed, easy to replace. When they disappear, time folds inward on the 5th floor. "You don't die right away," Emily said. "You live there. Years pass, decades maybe. But outside, you're just gone." I asked her why she was still here. She paused too long. "I already belong to another floor," she said quietly. That night, the elevator rang again. This time, it didn't stop on the 5th floor first. It went straight there. The doors opened wide. The hallway looked darker now. The lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Doors along the walls were cracked open, and I could see movement inside. Shadows pacing, hands pressing against wood, mouths moving without sound. At the end of the hall stood 5B, my door. It was open. Inside, I saw my apartment, but older, furniture covered in dust, the walls filled with writing, dates, tallies, years counted. On the far wall, written over and over, "Waiting for you to come back." Behind me, the elevator doors closed, and the hallway went silent. The silence pressed against my ears until I could hear my own heartbeat. I turned back toward the elevator. Nothing. Where it had been was now just a solid wall, smooth, unmarked, as if the elevator had never existed. Panic crawled up my spine. I ran my hands across the surface, pounding, shouting, but the sound felt swallowed, like the building was absorbing it. Then I heard movement inside 5B. Slow footsteps, careful, familiar. I stepped inside without meaning to. The air was colder, heavier, like breathing underwater. My old couch sat where it used to, torn and sagging. My kitchen clock still hung on the wall. It was ticking. I checked my phone. No signal, no time, just a black screen reflecting my face and something standing behind me. I turned. He stood near the bedroom door. Older me, thinner, his skin clung too tightly to his bones, eyes sunken but sharp. He looked exhausted in a way sleep could never fix. "You always panic at this part," he said calmly. I demanded to know how long he'd been here. He smiled, then pointed to the wall. Hundreds of marks were scratched into it, groups of 5. Years. "I left once," he said. "That's the mistake. The building forgives a lot, but not that." He explained the rule no one ever writes down. If you escape before the building is finished with you, it doesn't let you go. It resets you. That's why I was here now. That's why my name was already on the door. You're not the first version, just the latest. The lights flickered. From the other apartments, doors began to open. Hands reached out. Faces leaned forward, watching, waiting. Older me stepped closer and placed something in my hand. My apartment key. There's only one way to end this, and it's not leaving. The hallway filled with whispers, and somewhere deep in the building, something started moving upward.
The whispers grew louder, overlapping until they became a single sound, like wind rushing through a tunnel made of mouths. I dropped the key. It hit the floor and slid on its own, stopping perfectly in front of apartment 5B, as if guided by an unseen hand. Older me watched calmly, almost kindly. "It's already chosen," he said. "You can feel it, can't you?" I could. The building was awake. The walls vibrated softly, not shaking, breathing. The lights pulsed in slow rhythm, like a massive heart hidden behind concrete. From the open doors along the hallway, people stepped out one by one. Some looked human. Some looked like they'd been unfinished. Their eyes were wrong, too still, too empty. Each of them stared at me with recognition, like they knew me better than I knew myself. "They're past tenants," older me said. "They stayed too long, or they fought too hard." A woman reached for my arm. Her hand passed halfway through me, cold and numb, like touching fog. She smiled sadly. "You'll do better," she whispered. The clock inside 5B began ticking faster. Tick, tick, tick. Older me stepped back toward the bedroom, his form already fading. "When you accept it," he said, "I get to rest." I realized the truth then. He wasn't trapped here. He was me, worn down by years of waiting for a replacement. The building didn't kill its tenants, it recycled them. The hallway stretched unnaturally long, doors multiplied, numbers changing as I watched, floors stacked on top of each other, folding inward like layers of memory. I felt something tear inside my chest, not pain, but separation. My reflection peeled away from me, stepping forward, solid and whole. It smiled. "You can go now," it said. Behind me, the wall split open, revealing the elevator. The doors were open. The screen read 4. I stepped inside without looking back. As the doors closed, I heard the final sound of the 5th floor. A door locking. The elevator doors opened on the 4th floor like nothing had ever happened. Same hallway, same dim lights, same quiet. My phone buzzed the moment I stepped out. Missed calls, texts. The time read 6:42 a.m., the same morning I had first seen the 5th floor. According to the world outside, I had been gone less than an hour. I went straight to my apartment. Everything looked normal. Too normal. No writing on the walls, no welcome mat, no scratches on the door. I checked the lease papers again. Unit 4B. Name, Daniel Harper. Move-in date, October 2016. Nothing unusual. I told myself it was over. I packed my bags that same day and moved out within a week. I didn't argue about deposits. I didn't ask questions. I just left. For months, nothing happened. Then, small things started. My reflection in mirrors lagged half a second behind. Sometimes I heard footsteps matching mine when no one was there. At night, I woke up counting numbers I didn't remember learning. 5, 10, 15. I moved to another city, changed jobs, changed my routine. I avoided apartment buildings entirely. It didn't matter. One evening I found an envelope on my new doorstep. No stamp, no return address. Inside was a single photograph, me, standing in a hallway I recognized immediately. The 5th floor. The walls were cleaner now, new paint, new doors. The building was renovating. On the back of the photo, 3 words were written, "Not finished yet." That night, I dreamed of elevators moving without cables, climbing through endless floors. I woke up with my apartment key pressed into my palm. It wasn't my key. The number stamped on it was 5B.
I threw the key away. I watched it sink into the river, disappear beneath dark water, and told myself that was the end of it. Metal can't haunt you. Buildings can't move. Memories don't follow you across state lines. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, construction started across the street from my new place. A renovation project, an old apartment complex being updated for modern living. I tried not to look at it, but every day another floor seemed to appear. The workers never spoke to me. They avoided eye contact. One of them wore a jacket with a faded logo stitched on the back. Harrington Heights. That night, my fire alarm went off at exactly 1:17 a.m. No smoke, no fire, just the sound. When it stopped, I heard something else, footsteps in the hallway outside my apartment. Slow, heavy, dragging. I didn't open the door. A note slid underneath instead. The paper was yellowed, brittle, old. You left something behind. I started losing time after that. Whole hours vanished. I'd find myself standing in rooms I didn't remember entering, holding objects I didn't own, keys, coins, scraps of paper with floor numbers written on them. My reflection started smiling before I did. One morning I woke up to find a floor plan spread across my kitchen table, hand-drawn, detailed. It wasn't my apartment. It was 5B. Updated, expanded. The building wasn't chasing me. It was rebuilding itself around me. That evening, the elevator in my complex broke down. Management put up signs saying, "Out of order." Still, at midnight, I heard it moving. The digital screen outside my door flickered on by itself. A single number glowed in the dark. 5. And somewhere very close, a familiar voice whispered, "We just need you to come home one last time." I didn't fight it anymore. That's the truth no one wants to admit. Fear doesn't disappear. It gets tired. And when it does, you start listening. At 1:17 a.m., the elevator doors across the hall opened on their own. The inside didn't look like my building's elevator. It looked older, narrower. The metal walls were scratched with names, dates, and apartment numbers stacked on top of each other like layers of history. There were no buttons, just a single panel already glowing. 5. I stepped inside. The doors closed without a sound. The elevator didn't move upward. It moved inward. My ears popped. The air thickened. Every breath felt borrowed. When the doors opened, I wasn't in a hallway. I was inside the building itself. Walls curved like ribs. Pipes ran like veins, pulsing softly. Doors were embedded everywhere, half-formed, some breathing, some whispering. Faces pressed through the walls, not trapped, but resting, waiting. Then I understood.
The fifth floor was never a level you could map. It was where the building kept its memories. Every tenant who noticed something wrong, every person who asked too many questions, every soul that left before their time was finished. They weren't punished. They were preserved. Older me stepped forward, not broken anymore, not tired, complete. "You're not here to stay," he said. "You're here to finish it." I saw it then. The cracks inside the structure, the gaps where memory faded. The building needed someone who remembered both sides, someone who escaped and returned, someone like me. I placed my hand against the wall. The whispers softened. The pressure lifted. When I woke up, I was standing outside my old building. Harrington Heights was gone. An empty lot sat in its place. No rubble, no foundation, nothing. People still disappear from apartments across the country. Elevators still stop where they shouldn't. And sometimes, when you're alone at night, you'll hear footsteps outside your door that sound familiar. That's how you'll know. The building learned. Thank you for listening to this story till the end. If this horror followed you longer than you expected, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with the channel, because the next story is already waiting for you.